So it's about 95 degrees outside, so let's put a stereo in the car. So we're going to go out to the lake this weekend and we want to take the Torino. The stereo is completely shot. I have a new stereo and new speakers. We need to put them in. On a side note, if you're into bourbon, this is good stuff. It's a veteran-owned business, and they are the actual horse soldiers that they made the movie about. Met one of the guys at a veterans function. Turned me on to it. And nice guy. Of course, he's had a lot of concussions, but it's still pretty good. So let's go out to the car in the garage and I'll show you what I got. On a side note, I don't drink as much as y'all think I do. Yeah, okay, maybe. But driving is serious business, so 10 hours from bottle of throttle. Oofta, it's hot in here. Got this cleaned out the other night. So here's the stereo that I bought. It's a JVC. I bought it at a pawn shop. I didn't give that for it. But it's got everything. Bluetooth, the whole deal. Then I found these Planet Audio speakers. They were the only ones I could find that had the were the right size for the doors. Guy had some nice Infinities in there. There's some Rockford Fosgates back there. I was actually looking for some new Infinities or some Rockford Fosgates that were this size. I just couldn't find them. Keys, I need my keys. Found them. Back in the day, when the previous owner's kid was driving it, he had a whole system in here. In fact, these holes that are drilled right here, there was a board here with amps in it, and he had a box back here. Yeah, it's gone now, thankfully. I might put one in someday. But truthfully, I prefer just having everything where it's supposed to be. Well, first thing we need to do is pop the hood and unhook the battery. Having put in dozens of these systems in these old cars over the years, because I'm of the age that when we started putting car stereos in, there were no plug and play. It wasn't plug and play. You clipped, you soldered, you spliced, you ran all new lines and all that. So electrical fires were a real common thing with stereo installs. That's why it was so important. And this is no different. This car does not have any of that new stuff. It's not plug and play. That's part of why I bought a JVC. So let me get this undone and I'll show you the old stereo and show you why I got the new stereo. Now this is an old school JVC square-faced. I hate it when guys do this. This is the original dash here. They just cut it out. You can't buy these pieces anymore. They don't make these. That's why if you find one that's still original, don't cut it up. It's awful. So I guess I'm just working with what I got right now. Now the CD player doesn't work and it's got no Bluetooth or anything like that. But since the dash is already cut up, I'll just work with what I have. Like the Cutlass out there, don't ever cut those, especially those Cutlasses. They're not wide enough for these new square faces. You'll end up ruining it and having to figure out how to connect two pieces together. They make brackets to where you can actually hang them under the dash, and a lot of guys, especially with all this new CarPlay stuff and everything Bluetooth to your phone, you can actually just put a receiver under the dash or in the glove box and use your if you got that iPlay or whatever that is for Apple or Android Play or anything like that, you can just sync it from your phone and you don't have to cut up anything. So yeah, but as for cutting these things up, I don't like it. So what my hope is that this being a JVC, we might get lucky and it might have the same plug-in in the back, because if the plug-in is the same, I can pull the old stereo out, slide the new one in, and the plug remains the same. I rarely get that lucky, but I'm optimistic. Now this is an old school removable face stereo, so this just pops off. Hit this button, this pops out. You need the removal tool that gets in here. It kind of hooks and pulls, and this whole thing should slide out. But let's check underneath the dash here and see what it looks like under there first. Here we go under here. There are a lot of wires. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna need to cut a bunch of that out. Get the light over here. Okay, well, that looks like fun. That meathead that put my oil gauge in actually zip tied my oil line to all these lines and electrical lines here and vacuum lines and all that. It's really that kind of crap is the real reason I'm not going to use him ever again. Yeah, the car's running, but there was mistakes made, and I thought he was better than that. Apparently I was wrong. So I'm completely inverted, but let's show you what's going on under here. So we got our plug unplugged here, but there's a, you can see it, there's a bracket right here. Yeah, right here, and it hooks to the back of the stereo. So we've got to get that off. Once we get that loose, the whole stereo should slide straight out. So we got it out. Let me show you what we're dealing with. Truthfully, I hate this kind of removal tool. It's cheap. It doesn't work. The old school with the 4 tabs was a lot easier. We have a we have an antenna, and here's, you can see our plug back there. Now everything under here, we pull the plug down. It is this is what they used to do, so we need to fix this. Now we're not going to run new wires because it's all under the carpet and in the back, or like this. That's going to the doors. So I'll address that here in a minute. One of the problems that I had getting this out was this was really tight. He cut it out properly, used a template and all that, but if you look real closely here, you can see the line of the original stereo here to here, and it was actually a little bigger than this, so they didn't cut it big enough on this side here, from here to here. So yeah, we're gonna reuse this. I shouldn't have a problem with that, but boy, I don't like these at all. So yeah. Now this car being a base model, this car did not have speakers in the back or the doors when it was new. It had an AM radio and one single speaker in the front of the dash. That's all it had. All this stuff was added by the previous owner. Truthfully, if I could find base model door cards that didn't have speaker holes put in them, I would have removed them and mount the speakers up under, facing down in the footwell. I don't like cutting things up. But since they're already there, we're going to just go ahead and use them. I mean, why not? So let's get the other stereo out. Let's get the wiring harness and see the difference. So as we look, there is an extreme difference. So this actually isn't going to be hard. The colors are actually all the same. So, whoops, the colors are all the same. So we'll just take them apart one by one and piece it together. I have a Junior Woodchucks electrical kit here somewhere. I need to go find that, and we can actually just put it all together with butt connectors and crimps and do it right. I don't have a soldering iron. So let me go find all that, and we'll swap these wiring harnesses. Okay, so I got my pliers, some electrical tape and all that, and my kit. Sorry it's so dark. I need to get some of those YouTube lights you see all those guys have. One of the problems that you're going to have on a car this old is a lot of times they run the constant power and the switched power together like they did on this one. I'm going to run it that way for now, but I will eventually find it in the fuse box at a later date, find something hot to plug that into. Part of the problem you have with these older cars is they were never designed for anything digital like this, so a lot of them just don't have the means to do it. Now you can run a hot wire straight to the battery. I don't like doing things like that, especially when, you know, there's a whole bunch of reasons why. You do what you want. If you have a fuse box with constant power, that's great. The only way you're really going to find constant power is if you hook it up through your lighting circuit, and there should be a supplemental plug-in like it is on, like in the center, where you can add things to it. So that's just something to check. So let me get this wiring harness all swapped out, and we'll do a before and after, and hopefully it's not completely horrible. So see you in a second. Part of why I stuck with the JVC was what I'm about to show you, because the first time guy may not know what he's doing, especially on one of these old cars. Let me show you just the easiest way to do this. So you got your gray and you got your gray and black. Here you got your gray and you got your gray and black. Just basically one at a time, take your time, and it should be all right. So if you just take your time and do that, and there'll be a little bit of a mess, but if you just take your time and do that, when we plug this in, we should have everything working just dandy. So let's get this done. So we got the old wiring harness out. We actually did put a new see that? That's the ground strap. We put that on. Let me show you what we're dealing with. It looks like a rat's nest, and you're probably wondering why I used the wire nut again. I'm going to be redoing this at a later date, probably not. But I just need it to work for now. It's not going to work any better than the old one did, but at least I'll have a tape player, CD player. I am old. Now, excuse me, Coca-Cola. Now that we're done, now we can get to the actual stereo and see what we need to do to get that stereo to fit into that hole, because they're all pretty universal, and hopefully it'll just slide right in and I don't have to redo the that actual mounting bracket. So directions. All right, let's take this out here and see what we're dealing with. It is a nice stereo. Ooh, that is fancy. So hopefully I can get this to work. Yay. It is a bit lighter than the old one, so let's find out. It's a mess. So the one thing the stereo I need to take off, and I was wondering about this, is this piece right here. I already loosened it. Just unscrews right here, and hopefully it'll not work. Well, crap. It doesn't have a new one in the box, so I'll figure something out. So we can't use the stud, but I found a screw. It's going to suck putting a screw in it, trust me on that. But you got to support the back end of these up, and I found the right screw, so I wish I could take this thing off and run it through the backside, but I can't do that. There's no way to get that little heat sink off, so we'll just have to do it the hard way. But hey, at least it'll be done. So because life is perfect, I had to change this around too, because, well, I went to go slide the new radio in and it wouldn't click. So we're putting a new one of these things in, and it's easy. You just stick it in and you just bend these little tabs and make sure you can get it all real tight. So let me get this in and then we'll get the stereo in. So I got it in. Part of what I don't like about these new ones is this is not even fitting as remotely as well as the old one. The clips are bending in here when they really should be coming in this way instead of that way. So, yeah. But let's see if this thing slides in, and we'll get it bolted up in the back and see what happens here. So, ooh, there she goes. Click. Hey, she's in. So let's get it screwed in the back. Get that done up, and then put some power to it and see what happens. So, as you see, we get the power hooked back up. We got it plugged in. Let's see if it turns on. What I ended up doing here is I haven't tucked anything in. That red wire is the remote wire for the amp. So let's turn the power on and see what happens. Nothing. Whoops. Turn signal's on. Okay. Oh, hey, she's lighting up. So see what happens here. Cancel demo. Press volume knob. Yes. I had to shut it off real quick because there was copyright music, but let's show you. So basically, it was on B98 FM. So Whitney Houston's on, and let's go find something that I like better. How does this work? Oh. It pretty much works just like the old stereo. Sweet. Let's see what's on here. T95. The rock stay. Oh, I don't know. Apparently, it's AC/DC. This is working. Let me go get the door speakers put in, and then we'll get some copyright-free music and see how this all goes. The door speakers, easy. Okay, I said easy, but I may have just jinxed myself. So let's get them off. So I got the door apart. A little surprise. It had this little thing in it. I think it's for noise. Don't like all the. Yeah, it'll work. It's a little splicey, but we're gonna put some new ends on it and put these new speakers in, and it should be fine. Okay, so we've got the stereo hooked up. All the speakers. It's all there. We've got it all hooked up, and I've got some copyright-free music here. So let's hit that. See what happens. So sounds pretty good so far. The speakers back there are really bumping. I'm having a hard time with the tweeters. I know they work, but I'm gonna have to do a little adjusting there. That one decided it's working, but this one's not, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Well, so we got the stereo and we got everything working. I blasted a bunch of NWA and might have blown one of the rear speakers. Thing's got some tremendous boost. Well, I'm gonna have to replace those speakers, I think. So everything works. I didn't bother tearing apart the driver's side tweeter. I think it just came apart when I put it together. It just needs to be checked. Just check the connections. Of course, knowing my luck, I'll hit a bump and it'll start working. But that's it. You know, when you're dealing with old school stereos, it's not plug and play. It is pretty self-explanatory. It just takes a lot longer to do. You know, you just have to take your time. If you saw the difference between the old harness and the new harness, all the colors were the same. It literally just, you just swapped one purple to purple, green to green, green and black to green and black. Doing one at a time. It's pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't have to be hard. But like I said, on these cars, there's all sorts of things you can get now that will tuck under the dash and fit into your stock stereo hole, so you don't have to cut these things up anymore. 20 years ago, it wasn't a big deal. Of course, 20 years ago, you could get 2 knob stereos that fit. Today, it's a very big deal. That dash, I don't know where to find one. I could probably find one for the right amount of money, but just to replace what that was cut out, that's several $100s. Who knows? It could be $1,000 by now. They're not making them. The Cutlass is the same way. Once you destroy one, there's not another one. They don't make those. So just be mindful when you're cutting apart old cars to what you're doing. These new stereos are all, a lot of them have remotes, and truthfully, you can actually hook them up, put them under the dash, and just sync them up to your Bluetooth or your phone, and have Apple CarPlay or whatever you want right there. So that being said, it's not hard, just time consuming. And you know, truthfully, if we were to go through and do the whole thing, I would take the whole interior out and run all new wires. If you're going to replace the speakers on all 4 corners and put an amp and, you know, this and that, and run RCA cables and all that, do it real old school style, take the whole interior out, pull the carpet out, do it right. And that's my advice for that. If you're going to do it right. And you will never be upset that you took the time to do it right and spent the money to do it right. So anyhow, well, I had fun today. Got the stereo in. Had a little time. So, hey, I guess we're off to the next thing. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. And my neighbors really like me now because I'm the only one on the block that listens to NWA still. So I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you next video.